welcome back to the UP Women in Law channel.
If you're new to this channel,
welcome to the fun side.
And if you're a returning subscriber, you know the vibe. Please share,
like, and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notifications bell to get notified every single time we post.
Without further ado, let's get into the video.
My favorite group is Sistar, and they debuted in 2010. Their whole image is like sexy, sophisticated, woman empowerment. Unfortunately, they broke up in 2017, so yeah. Real life issues. Well, there's a case that we're doing now that wasn't part of the syllabus before, but it's called Cos versus Minister of Home Affairs, and it basically touches on the treatment of transgender persons in terms of their relations or their interactions at Home Affairs, especially when it comes to marriage and the alteration of their sex description. Well, right now, it's part of my research. The way that intersex children are being treated at the moment, they go through a process in which they are essentially mutilated at birth. Once they show genitalia that is ambiguous, the doctor will sometimes decide for them, without parental consent, which sex they should be described as, either male or female, which is a problem because, number one, you're not getting the child's consent because they're a baby, and then also if you're not getting parental consent, that's a problem in and of itself. And then you're not giving anybody any agency, and you are not describing to the person that, listen, this is a naturally occurring thing. You are in no means different or weird or anything like that. And I just think that it speaks to the ignorance of people in terms of issues of sex, gender, and gender identity and gender expression in South Africa. Well, actually, I don't specialize in law of persons. My speciality is children's rights. But I also took a liking to law of persons because it deals with aspects of children. And that's the primary reason that I chose to specialize in law of persons. But I've come to quite like it a lot. Otherwise, I wouldn't be teaching it. Well, I graduated in the dinosaur era, so I don't know. But I think there definitely have been changes that, for example, the Cos case, as I spoke about it, we definitely, when I was doing law of persons, weren't speaking about issues of the LGBTQ community, or speaking or debating on issues of the choice on termination of pregnancy and issues surrounding that. So I think we've made great strides since I was an undergrad student. So it would be child law, and then also family law. I think because it's such an introductory module, you touch on aspects of delect as well. And there are some public law aspects, for example, when we touch on constitutional rights, but it's all very surface level because we're dealing with first-year students. That's a tough one because at the moment, I think we're creating unrealistic expectations in the sense that we're taking on more law students than there are opportunities. At the moment, I think we have 900 first-year students, and that is just an untenable position. So I mean, I could say do extracurricular activities, be a part of a society and all these different things. But the truth of the matter is that we just don't have enough jobs for law students. And I don't want to create an expectation that there is, and I don't want to sell people dreams. So I don't know how to answer that question as effectively as I should. I think what a lot of law students are doing is actually going to teach abroad as well. So it might be the best course of action to have a side hustle, actually. Unfortunately, that is just the reality of the way that things are right now. So the way it works, if somebody wants to be in academia and really serious about it, well, I always am one who says that a person should not after the undergrad go straight into postgrad. But like I said again, there aren't that many opportunities. So you can become an academic associate, for example, in a specific department. It doesn't really need to be the department in which you do your master's in, but you can go through that route and then become a assistant lecturer and then move up the ranks in that way. I really don't. I understand that we're in difficult times, and that with COVID we just can't do it, but I think that in the realm of online teaching, and obviously I don't want to throw that under the bus or anything, but the standard of teaching becomes a little bit lower, because you need to now cater for people that might not have data, for example, things of that nature. You need to make the assessments a little bit easier in a way. So, and I really don't think there's a substitute for face-to-face lecturing and consultation. So to be honest with you, I don't think that this method of teaching and learning is sustainable or sufficient. I actually hate the promotion criteria at the moment. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I just think that we are setting ourselves up for again selling people dreams about what they're able to do in their degree, because once you get that 65, you're like, oh, okay, well, good for me, I understand this module, when in actual fact you probably just studied like a parrot, didn't really engage with the work, and then you get the promotion. So really I just think it's a disservice not only to the student but to the lecturer, because then you feel like you haven't done that good a job in preparing students for the realities of the legal profession. Well, that's actually a really great question. So after I did I'm going to talk through my own personal experience. So after I did my undergrad, I actually went to go do my articles at a Big Five. And for the purposes of this interview, I will not name that firm. I don't want to burn any bridges. And it was hard. It was difficult work. And the thing that I saw was that there were a lot of women, specifically black women, at the lower level. But when you looked at the top, it was mostly white males, which made me question what is happening to all the black females from the bottom going up. There must be some sort of issue going on there. And the sad thing is that one of the people that I did my articles with at that firm, she'd become the youngest black female who'd become partner. And I'm thinking, in 2020, the year of our Lord, a black woman is only being promoted to that position now. I mean, that for me was eye-opening and shocking. I was proud of her, very proud of her, but I thought it was really sad, actually. And even here, if you look at the composition of women, and specifically black women at the top, we only have one black female HOD. And that speaks to a problem within recruiting and management. A lot of the people that are women and women of color specifically that we see are in very junior positions. I mean, when I started here at the university, I started as an assistant lecturer, and at that time I was the only black female in my department, which I mean was very shocking for me in 2016. And I saw somebody tweet, I never thought I'd see a black woman lecturing at the University of Pretoria in the Faculty of Law, which I thought was, I lurk on Twitter. So when I saw that, I knew it was about me, and I thought it was really sad. So it really speaks to a problem in retention of women, retention of black women specifically, and what exactly is happening in the middle there that is causing women to leave not only practice but academia in general. I mean, one of the fights that I was really passionate about has kind of already been fought, but I don't know how it's been applied on ground level, because we're very idealistic with the law in terms of how we perceive it to be and what it should be. But when you look at ground level, you don't know how it's actually being applied. So one of the things that I was really passionate about was the privacy of child victims, offenders, and witnesses after they turn 18. That's actually what I wrote my master's in. And the reason I was so passionate about it is because it's easier to rehabilitate a child than it is an adult. It's easier to try to transition a child's trauma, negotiating that going into their adulthood, than it is when you're an adult. So I was looking at that because the media wanted to release the names of these child witnesses, victims, and offenders once they turned 18. So essentially you are undoing all of that rehabilitation that you did once the person was a child. And that really goes against the principles of child law, in that we look at rehabilitation and reintegration of the child into society. So the reason I was so drawn to that was because of the Zephany Nurse case. Zephany Nurse was a baby who was kidnapped at Grootestuur Hospital in the Western Cape by a woman who wanted to have children but couldn't. And the family, her biological family, did not know where she was for years. They were looking for her. And then they eventually found her. But Zephany did not know that she was actually a kidnapped child. And she thought that her fake family was her real family. So she was a child witness and victim in her own case. And the media wanted to release her real name, because Zephany Nurse is not her real name. So all they wanted was the story. They wanted the scoop. But once Zephany Nurse's case came out, and she became an adult and she was able to tell her story herself, the media lost interest in it. So my issue is that once they get the name of the person, the child witness, victim, or offender, they release their names. What is it that they want to do afterwards? Do they want to name and shame this person? It's obviously more clicks for them, but do they worry about how that person will be perceived in society? Do they care that maybe a person has been rehabilitated and their family did not know about this, and now they're going into it, ruining a person's life? So that was an issue that really stuck with me, that has been the primary reason why I love child law so much, in that I want to protect them in the sense of rehabilitation and reintegration. I think go into it knowing that you are not, how can I put this? You're not a teacher. You are a lawyer fighting for the rights of a child, but you're still fighting for the rights of a person. It's not to see the child obviously is vulnerable, but what's most important is that you see the child as an individual capable of forming their own opinions, capable of being their own person, seeing their own identity and being able to represent them in that way. So I think what's most important, or what draws somebody to child law, is that actually it's something that touches not only on private law, it touches on public law as well. And that's why I'm so in love with it, because it doesn't just fit into one category. So if you're a person that doesn't want to be really boxed in to a certain kind of law, child law would probably be one of the best avenues to pursue, because you're going about it through different angles. Ooh, child, I would be living the soft life. I would be a housewife, just, going shopping every day. Okay, yeah. Well, I MC part-time. So yeah, I MC part-time. So I think if I wasn't a lecturer, I'd love to do that professionally. Hunter x Hunter, Death Note, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, not Full Metal Alchemist, My Hero Academia, and then Psyche. Yeah. Well, since you're giving me the floor, if I must say anything, yeah, man, just live your life. That's what I want to say. Just live your life. This life is too short to be bogged down in the really trash aspect of it. And as a person also that is an advocate for mental illness and things of that nature, I just think it's just so important that people find joy where they can, if they can, where they can.
Thank you for joining in on our video. Until we see you guys in the next one, goodbye.